I want to welcome everybody to today's show of Is It Just Me? Insight with T. Today, I want to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for quite some time, and this topic is I don't see color. When you hear someone says I don't see color, who usually says it? Is it somebody black, somebody white, somebody Hispanic, Asian, Arab, Indian? No, I'm gonna tell you who I notice say I don't see color majority of the time. It's gonna be somebody that look like you and I, black. I'm about the complexion of this young lady here that's on the screen here. And she's gonna say something that I feel that's very, very important along with others. So we're gonna get into this topic today of I don't see color. We're gonna understand why people usually, when they say I don't see color, they usually want to distance themselves from racism. They want you to believe that focusing on race creates division. And generally they think equality means being colorblind. And we're gonna get into this because I don't believe any of it. So when they say I don't see color, this is what I see. They trying to say, I get what you mean. You're saying you see everyone as equal, right? That's a good goal, sure. But can you show me why you saying that I don't see color can actually harm people, even if it's what you really don't mean? So let's go into this, and I'll be back, and I'm going to give my insight on this. I want everybody to sound my voice to like, share, and subscribe. And I want to thank you, and you too. Let's get into it.
As soon as a white person starts saying, I don't care if you white, blue, black, yellow, I tune out. Because I know you're not about to say nothing good. Like, you're not about to say nothing.
So I primarily date outside of my own race, culture, and ethnicity. And one of the most powerful conversations I ever had on a date stemmed from the fact that when I was asked if I'd ever dated someone of color, I responded, well, yeah, of course, I don't see color. And they stopped me and said, I understand you mean well by that comment, but I am going to explain to you why I don't particularly like that comment. And they told me, if you are going to date me, I need you to see my color. I need you to see when I walk into a room full of people that are not of my color, how they look at me and treat me differently. I need you to see and notice the people that enjoy my cultural foods, my cultural music, my cultural holidays, and then turn around and treat the people that created that culture differently. I need you to see my color, because if you don't see my color, you're never going to see the people that truly do see my color and judge me for it. And you're never going to be able to understand me fully.
Now, what she's saying, I have to say kudos to her, because whoever she's dating, whatever black guy she is dating or person of color, when you say you don't see color, this is what you're doing. You're ignoring reality. Race isn't the problem, huh? Is it? Racism is. So when you're pretending not to see color, you erases how that person feels, that person's race feel in their daily lives, from job interviews to police encounters to healthcare. Now let's think about this. If your friends break their legs and they don't say, I don't see injuries, I treat everyone the same, you recognize their pain, so you can't help them heal. Color blindness ignores the broken system still hurting people. And we're talking about real world truth. A black person and a white person can walk into the same store, but experience is totally different. One may be followed and judged unfairly. We know who that is. And one may be like, hey, I didn't have any kind of encounters. I don't see color. That doesn't deny the reality. Now, those of you, I'm going to say this. I have a friend of mine, and he was point blank like, look, T, let's do this. You're black, and I'm white, and we're going to test this. I'm going to go in and try to get an apartment And let's see if I can get it. Then you go in behind me. All right, did it? Didn't happen. I'm gonna go in and look for this job and see if they'll hire me. You go in, let's see, didn't happen. The Caucasian person, the white person, they got all the kudos. They got all the favoritism. They got everything thrown towards them. But for me, I'm 6'2", 185 pounds. I stood out in the crowd. This person is white. They're about 5'7", maybe 5'8". So let's see about this. It says, let's think about this. I want you to think about this. When people claim to be colorblind, they're avoiding hard truths also about privileges and inequality. It allows society to pretend that racism doesn't exist anymore. This 2025, y'all. It makes it easier to ignore the facts that the system still favors white people. The example is, if we don't see color, then we can't see patterns. Like who's getting stopped by the police more, or who's underpaid at work. Not seeing colors means not seeing injustices. And I'm going to tell you, we know it's injustice. Get pulled over by the police. You have to be on your P's and Q's when you're black. When you're white, you can be upset, frustrated, not having a good day. You can even cuss out the police. You can tell the police, I'm not showing you my driver's license. I'm not showing you my registration or title. And they might say, well, okay, well, do you know why I pulled you over? I really don't care. And they cannot get harassed, not get beat up. They can live to see another day. They might not even get a traffic ticket. But let's go on to this next video and see what this person has to say. And I'll be right back. And we're going to get into some more of this. I don't see color.
Sensitive things you can say to a black person is, I don't see color. If you were raised in the post-civil rights era in the U.S., you were probably taught to say this as a way of indicating that you were raised to see everyone equally. But this statement doesn't come off the way you think it does to most black people. First of all, it just rings false to most of us. We know it's not true because we live in these bodies every day. We've lived in our skin all our lives and bring a lifetime of experience with race to any conversation we engage in. Have you ever heard a black person say, I really like Tom. I get the feeling he doesn't know what color I am at all. No, because we've never encountered that in our lives, nor would we expect to. We know that race is a factor in everyday life. We live it 24/7. If suddenly race didn't matter to the majority of the people who claim it doesn't, don't you think we'd be the first ones to notice? And if what you're trying to say is that you try to live your life with a colorblind philosophy, well, we appreciate the thought, but that speaks to a certain detachment from our reality. We've never had the luxury of so-called colorblindness. Our ancestors came to this country in chains. My parents were born under the Jim Crow era segregation laws. Even for those of us who have managed to do fairly well in life, we still deal with microaggressions from without, internalized racism from within because of the culture we live in, PTSD with past racial trauma, feeling culturally othered, and many of us fight every day to overcome the legacy of poverty that's all too often the birthright of someone born with darker skin. And while you may not feel personally responsible for all of those things, they were perpetuated by a system of white supremacy that you nevertheless benefit from. And consider this, taking a colorblind stance can be a way of invalidating our experiences. If you don't acknowledge that our experience of the world has been vastly different from yours, you become the ostrich with its head stuck in the sand, refusing to see the problems that exist, and thereby shutting off any avenue you may have to address them in any meaningful way. But in a fundamental sense, we want you to see our color. We want you to see its beauty. We want you to respect the ways in which our culture is its own distinct, vibrant thing. And we want you to push past your discomfort and learn to speak about race honestly.
And ain't that the truth? Let's point out that color is beautiful, not a problem. So when you think about color represents culture, history, and resilience, saying I don't see color erases that beauty, and it tells people I don't see that part of you. For many blacks, our skin, our hair, and our heritage are sources of pride, not shame. You know, this was before my time, but I remember hearing a song when I was younger. It says, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. James Brown. And that was a cry that people did in the 60s, 70s, or whatever. And again, this color is our culture, our history, our resilience. So if you point out that you don't see this beautiful color of ours, that's a problem. when you say you don't see color, it feels like you don't see part of what makes me me. What makes T himself. My color isn't the issue. The world's reaction to it is. Let's talk about this after the Civil War. We're going to get into this one. This was good. After the Civil War, movements and many people said we are all equal. While systematic barriers quietly remained, laws changed, but powers didn't. Being colorblind kept white people comfortable without having to deal with inequality. If being colorblind really worked, we really still wouldn't see massive racial gaps in wealth, health, and opportunities. Think about right now in America, the illegal aliens or immigrants, whatever you want to call them, they're experiencing just that. They're experiencing a system where it's point blank, they have broken the laws by crossing over that border, whether it's in Texas, Arizona, Mexico, California, or Canada. If they came through illegally, didn't come through Ellis Island, they have broken the law. But they're experiencing what they feel is injustice. They will never feel the injustice that a black person have experienced over 400 years. This is just happening for what, 4, 5, 6, 7 months that Donald Trump has been in office? Try over 400 years of disparity. Civil rights, Jim Crow, redlining, the injustices. They can never equate to what we as black people have seen. I don't see color. This is also saying that it's not about guilt. It's not about responsibility. These people who say they don't see color, these people, they are against you if you ask me. When I think about these people again, I'm saying it's so far broad and stretched out. How can you say you're not seeing color doesn't show that racism exists? Saying that the society is not teaching about racism, but when you think about CRT is critical race theory. They're trying to take it out to schools. Growing up, I remember I saw a movie called Roots, and it was disgusting. I saw another movie called Amistad. It was disgusting. I saw a movie called Django. Disgusting. It shows us being treated so unfairly as black people. What did we do? What have we done to cause such treatment? Can you say something that's not shameful in the treatment of black people over the 400 years? The goal isn't to make you guys feel like you're not guilty. The goal is to make you feel guilty. This is plain and clear. We're trying to make people feel guilty as you know what, because it still is prevalent. When we think about white and black wealth, I'm going to show these two videos, then I'm going to come back and read something that I Googled for my own due diligence, and I want to share with my whole viewing audience. Let's get into these last two videos. Here we go.
Family's net worth in America is $250,000. If you compare that to black families, it's only $24,000. We need to make a shift in the culture to where we're supporting our businesses and putting our dollars where it matters so that we can actually have the power that it takes to make change.
Oh my God. I think there's a wealth gap. I'm just saying I'm sick of you saying that it's all white people's fault. Okay, I've never said it's all white people's fault. I've talked to you about slavery. Yeah, slavery like 200 years ago. You're in disagreement. What's going on? Yeah, she is. Hey, misinformation. Hey, misinformation. I'm just saying it's ridiculous that we're still blaming white people for the wealth gap and acting like slavery is the only reason that black people have less money and less education today. You're gonna get punched in the mouth one day. I'm telling you right now, and I'm gonna smile. Okay, I'm going to turn this into a visual, because something tells me that will help. 1865, post-Civil War. White man, we'll call him Whitey, inherits the farm from daddy. He's not rich, but he's got enough. It's a good life. 1900s, Whitey's son applies for a low-interest bank loan. Is he approved? Absolutely. He's a white guy. He expands the farm. He passes that land and savings to his kids. 1945, Whitey's grandson comes home from World War II. He uses that GI Bill to build a brand new home. Property value appreciates steadily. 1975, Whitey's great-granddaughter inherits the home. Her parents paid for her college through their own savings. She and her husband don't have to worry about buying a primary home, so they invest in the stock market and a second property. 2005, Whitey's great-great-grandson inherits the home plus investments. Real estate equity, retirement savings, it's a good life. Now we'll look at the same timeline, but a black man. We'll call him Blackie. What the f***'s wrong with you? What? You called the white guy Whitey. Why wouldn't we call the black guy, we'll call him Isaac? Post-Civil War, he's free. He owns nothing. 40 acres and a mule? No. No land, no money, no inheritance. Sharecropping traps him in an endless cycle of debt. 1900s, Isaac's son inherited nothing. He'd be denied for any bank loans. He's excluded from many job sectors. Jim Crow laws. It's not a good life. 1945, Isaac's grandson comes home from World War II. He fought for our country, your country, but he's excluded from the GI Bill. Why? He's black. Redlining excludes him from buying a home in any of the appreciating neighborhoods. Limited opportunity. 1975, Isaac's great-grandson comes home from Vietnam. Denied the GI Bill. Why? He's black. He rents for the remainder of his life. 2005, Isaac's great-great-grandson has inherited nothing. But he did get into college. He has massive student debt. And the Great Recession is just around the corner. So in summary, Whitey's family has passed down hundreds of thousands of dollars through each generation in land, homes, investments. Isaac's family, though, despite working hard and serving in the exact same wars, has nothing. I guess that's all. Okay, whatever, but why can you say Whitey and not...
Oh my God.
Now, the thing about this video is funny to me, and I'm just thinking, when you think about the disparity in wealth, let's go over this. Black wealth, white wealth. Gap in the United States is substantial and persistent, with black households possessing significantly less wealth than white households. So when we look at this, it says in 2022, black median wealth household was only about 15% that of white households, a gap that actually widened during COVID-19 pandemic. The economic vulnerability is linked to differences in assets ownerships of white family holding more diversified portfolios, including greater equity investments, which have generated higher capital gains and more widespread home ownership compared to black. How many of y'all was taught to buy bonds and stocks and gold and silver and cryptocurrency and have a portfolio? Not too many of us were taught to buy stocks, bonds, because black people didn't learn how to buy stocks and bonds because white people didn't teach them. And then those of us who were black who were taught, we kept it to ourselves. We didn't teach others. And I'm saying it point blank. But when it comes to white people, they have been taught not to just go to school. They've been taught entrepreneurship, how to be in business for themselves. That creates wealth. Portfolios, RAs, 401ks, everything we don't know about, they knew about. Median wealth occurring, according to the Federal Reserve, it says black households right now, this was from 3 years ago, our current household wealth was $44,900 compared to white households who had an annual of $285,000. Wealth to income ratio, black households, we hold approximately $15 in wealth for every $100 held by white households. That's 85% more. Debt and no wealth. Black households were the most likely to be in debt or to have no wealth in 2021, with 24% of black households in this situation compared to only 9% of white households. Historical roots of this gap is slavery and its aftermath. They want to forget slavery, but we can't forget it because we're owed 40 acres and a mule. We're owed reparation, recompense, not an apology. We're owed residuals. We're owed money, tangibles, legacy of slavery and subsequent black codes created a foundation of unequal wealth for black Americans, preventing the accumulation of assets. You know, in the 1800s, they were rewarding them with property, wealth, acres. If you just left Europe, a country that's impoverished with pestilence and everything else that's unbecoming of a third world country, they said if you could just get over here, you will prosper because we will give you land. But slaves, they said no. Even if the man went to serve for his country, he was treated the opposite of his white counterpart. Discriminatory policies, it says the government's policies such as redlining, denial of financial services, exclusion from the deal, and the GI Bill disproportionately benefited white families while hindering black wealth. Stalled. It says the racial gap has remained stagnant and widened since the 1980s, particularly for blacks because of stalled income convergence, differences in capital gain due to varied assets and portfolios. So it says portfolios, white families were more diversified with their wealth portfolios, with a higher proportion in equities, having allowed them to benefit from the rising stock markets, further increasing their gap. Home disparity. Home ownership has increased across all groups, significantly higher for whites, 74.5% since 2023 compared to black households at 45%, which affects long-term wealth. And it says black households with less wealth and fewer liquid assets, more vulnerable to economic downturns and crises such as COVID and what we're experiencing now. You know, it's getting ready to be a great shift in wealth because the baby boomers are old. They're dying off. They said they were the generation that will never get old. They don't want to get old and get out the way. They'll die in their positions before they just give it over to a Generation X or millennial. That is the honest truth when it comes to baby boomers. They the generation that said make love, not war. And they was out there making a lot of love, huh? Taking a lot of drugs. There's a lot of interracial children out there. A lot. They're in my family, they're in your family. It is what it is. But when it comes to I don't see color, that is a misnomer. That is a lie. That is a cap. That is something that is not true unless you were born blind. I'm talking about from birth. Then you don't see color. You don't know what it is. But if you are myopic, if you have 20/10, 20/20, you can hear the sound of my voice. You are 9 times out of 10. You can see. You have to see the red light turn green to go when you're driving. You have to see a stop sign. It's red, S-T-O-P. Yield is yellow. The clothes you put on. The person you're with. His or her eye color. His or her hair color. His or her skin color. His or her clothes they're wearing. His or her car they drive. Is it white? Is it black? Is it blue? Is it red? Is it purple? Is it yellow? Is it gold? Is it green? You tell me. But when you say I don't see color, 9 times out of 10, you might be. And I'll leave that up to you. But until next time, I want everybody to go ahead, like and subscribe to the channel. And tell me, what do you feel about when you hear a person says, I don't see color? Are they lying? Are they trying to be your friend? Because in the end, I'd rather you tell me the truth than lie to my face. Because that would be a disgrace. Until next time, This is Insight with T. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. I want to thank you, and you too.
As a white person starts saying, I don't care if you white, blue, black, yellow, I tune out. Because I know you're not about to say nothing